Yo, what up guys, Bo here. If you haven't been living under a rock, I'm sure you know by now that a couple of days ago, Apple announced updates to their Mac lineup. Now, we're not talking about the modular Mac Pro, although that would have been a real nice surprise. No, we're talking about the new 2018 13-inch and 15-inch MacBook Pro with Touch Bar. Let's get one thing out of the way. If you're waiting for the non-Touch Bar version to get the same treatment, well, you'd be pretty disappointed as they did not get the same 8th gen CPU update as their Touch Bar brothers or sisters. So what can you expect from the 13-inch and 15-inch MacBook Pro with Touch Bar? Physically, the laptops haven't changed, as we really don't expect any design change, at least for the next couple of years. The only subtle change that Apple has claimed is the 3rd gen butterfly keyboard. Even though I personally like the 2nd gen version, which felt a lot more responsive than the 1st gen, many people were experiencing sticky to non-responsive keys, and from the iFixit video, it does look like Apple implemented a silicone seal to deal with dust and moisture issues. Speaking of no physical changes, the displays remain the same at 2560 by 1600 with a PPI of 227 for the 13-inch model and 2880 by 1800 with a PPI of 220 for the 15-inch model, both sporting 500 nits. While those resolutions are really good, 2 years ago, quite a few Windows competitors have either caught up or surpassed Apple in the resolution game. But the real exciting change for 2018 is all under the hood. For the first time ever, the 13-inch is getting a quad-core processor using Intel's latest and greatest Coffee Lake CPU that you can upgrade to 2.7 GHz Core i7 with turbo boost of up to 4.5 GHz. If 1 TB of SSD wasn't enough for you, the 2018 model can be upgraded to 2 TB, but you're gonna have to pay a pretty penny for that. On the graphics side, it now comes with Intel's Iris Plus 655, which is an incremental jump from last year's 650. So if portability is important, but you still crave the quad-core CPU power that you've never had on the 13-inch, then this update is definitely for you. Starting price for the base model is still $1799, and that'll get you a 2.3 GHz quad-core i5 that turbo boosts up to 3.8 GHz, 8 gigs of RAM, Intel Iris Plus 655, and 256 gigs of SSD. However, if you want to give yourself an even nicer gift, you can top out at 2.7 GHz quad-core CPU, turbo boost up to 4.5 GHz, 16 gigs of RAM, same graphics, and 2 TB of SSD. And that, my friend, will run you a cool $36.99. Great news is that even the entry level starts with a quad-core processor, so if you've been holding out on a 13-inch, now's the time. Next up is a 15-inch MacBook Pro with Touch Bar. I've been using the late 2016 version for a couple of years now, and while it was a big upgrade from the late 2012 iMac that I had before, by today's standards, it's not that fast. The 2018 15-inch base model starts off with a 2.2 GHz, 6-core, 8th gen Coffee Lake i7 processor that turbo boosts up to 4.1 GHz, 16 gigs of DDR4 RAM, Radeon Pro 555X with 4 gigs of memory and 256 gigs of SSD, and a base price of $23.99, which is the same price as the 27-inch base model. However, if you do decide to splurge, you can upgrade all the way to a 2.9 GHz i9 processor that turbo boosts up to 4.8 GHz, 32 gigs of RAM, Radeon Pro 560X with 4 gigs of memory, and a whopping 4 TB of SSD for only $6,700. Yes, more than the base iMac Pro. But of that amount, it costs $3,400 to upgrade from 256 gigs to 4 TB. Okay, let's put that in perspective. You can pick up another base 15-inch model with Touch Bar and still have $1,000 left over. Before this update, if you wanted more than 2 TB of SSD, you will have to step up to an iMac Pro that starts at $5,000. When the late 2016 15-inch with Touch Bar came out, so many people were complaining about the lack of 32 gig RAM option that other Pro laptops offered. This was due to Apple using DDR3 memory that topped out at 16 gigs, but offered much better battery standby time. With the 2018 version, Apple finally updated to DDR4, which allows a 32 gigs option to finally appear. But the trade-off is that DDR4 is more power hungry, and Apple found a way to increase the battery size from 76.7 watt-hours to 83.6 watt-hour, an increase of 7 to compensate for its new RAM in order for the total standby time to remain the same as in 2017. There are also a couple of more under-the-hood improvements that Apple made. True Tone has been a feature only found on the iPad Pro and the latest iPhones, but now it's made its way into the 13 and 15-inch MacBook Pro with Touch Bar. For those of you who are not familiar, it's a display sensor that can actively change the screen's white balance to match the light around you for a more natural and accurate viewing experience. First introduced in the iMac Pro, the T2 chip will also make its way into the 2018 MacBook Pro with Touch Bar. It basically takes over some of the functions from the CPU like storage controller, security functions like encryption, Touch ID, and Apple Pay, freeing up the computer's processing power. If you had pre-ordered last Thursday when Apple made the announcement, you might have gotten yours already a day later, as both the 13 and 15-inch reviews are starting to pop up on YouTube. This is the biggest speed improvement for the MacBook Pro line in a few years, and I think this is Apple's answer to those who were complaining about the lack of attention to its Pro user base. Let me know what you guys think about the new MacBook Pro specs and pricing down below. If you're thinking about upgrading to a 2018 13-inch or 15-inch with Touch Bar, let me know what kind of specs you're getting down in the comment section. If you guys want to see me do an unboxing video, just hit that like button and I'll have an initial impression as soon as I get my hands on one. So make sure to hit that subscribe button and bell icon, you get notified when that video drops. This is Bo. Hey, thanks for watching. I'll catch you in the next one.